against pollution from 2013 to today, Beijing has become a case study on how to reduce toxic air. We look at Beijing experiment and study NYC transport system in our on point one. Is Bangladesh becoming East Pakistan once again? What's Dhaka thinking and how will India deal with this new challenge? Is our on point two. And let's take a quick look at the headlines. Parliament witnesses massive showdown over the GRAP-4 bill. Government and opposition MPs trade sharp remarks. Karnataka Assembly passes hate speech bill with amendments. Penalty period slashed from 10 to 7 years for the first time offenders. Competition Commission of India to probe Indigo under Competition Act 2002 over flight disruptions. China's Eastern Airlines launched daily flights between Delhi and Shanghai. Operations on Kolkata, Kunming route set to return. In 1978, China opened its economy through rapid industrialization and urbanization, but that came at a huge cost. Beijing witnessed a sharp rise in carbon emissions. Its skies were filled with smog, particulate pollution. The culprit was the same PM 2.5, the main pollutant which is emitted from heavy industries, power plants, vehicles, crop burning and coal-based heating. More than 1 million people were dying in China every year and its economy was suffering an annual loss of about $37 billion due to pollution-induced crop failure. The 2008 Beijing Olympics made more headlines over rising air pollution than the Games. Hospitals were burdened with hundreds of children suffering from respiratory issues. In January 2013, Beijing's AQI reached 755. Then came September 2013, when China implemented its most aggressive pollution control measure. The Air Pollution Prevention and Control Action Plan targeted particulate matters 2.5 and 10. Small coal-fired boilers in cities were shut down and new ones were banned. Power plants and factories were updated with mandatory desulfurization, denitrification and dust control technology. Coal consumption was cut down, especially in Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei, Yangtze River Delta and Pearl River Delta. Crackdown on vehicle emissions. Old polluting vehicles were eliminated and fuel standards were upgraded nationwide. Construction dust, industrial fumes and VOC emissions were controlled, and finally air quality monitoring was expanded and pollution data made public city by city. This is what the result of the air pollution control plan was. Beijing witnessed a 33% reduction and Pearl River Delta witnessed a 15% reduction in PM 2.5 levels. Beijing achieved a 35% drop in the annual average PM 2.5 level to 58 micrograms per cubic meter, but the challenge still remained. In 2018, China launched a 3-year action plan for winning the blue sky defense battle. This plan was executed nationwide. The plan made it mandatory for an 18% reduction in PM 2.5 levels and focused more on ozone pollution. The air quality across major cities began to improve in 2020 and nearly 80% of its territory has witnessed improved air quality. This is also to the credit of strong policy implementation from top down of its governance structure, pollution control targets for bureaucrats, technology, shutting down old infrastructure, aggressive push to EVs, electrification of bus fleets, and more importantly, political will has made China a case study for the world in combating air pollution. Now let me introduce my guest, because this is the first part. On this issue, I am joined by Chandrabhushan, President and CEO, IFRS, Professor G.C. Khilnani, Chairman, Department of Pulmonary and Critical Care, PSRI Hospital. I am also joined by Sunil Dahiya, Founder and Lead Analyst, Enviro Catalyst. Let me straight away thank you all of you for joining me. The second portion of this conversation will be about the transport system. An entire conversation will be woven around what it does to our health. So the first question to Mr. Bhushan is, if it can be done in Beijing and Mexico City, what is preventing Delhi to become clean again?
Thank you very much for having me on your program. Let me start by saying that yes, it can be done in Delhi. It requires consistent, ambitious, long-term plan. Air pollution challenge cannot be solved in a year's time. So if we would have started seriously 10 years back, I'm sure we would have done better than Beijing. The fact is that most of our action or air pollution is reactive. We are not thinking long term. And that means that there is no consistent effort in achieving systemic changes. And that is why we have not been able to do it. But I will also like to say that the challenge in Delhi is far more complicated than Beijing and Mexico City. See, Delhi is about 2.7% of national capital region. It sits at the center of one of the most industrialized, urbanized, and agricultural part of India. So it is being hit by all three: urban, industrial, and agriculture. Beijing was never affected by agriculture. So the stubble burning seasonal pollution spike that you see in Delhi was never a problem for Beijing. And therefore, and the other thing was that the regional plan that China implemented, which you mentioned, Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei, a contiguous area in which two of the major municipalities centrally administered, Tianjin and Beijing, and Hebei is a province with about 11 cities. So you're talking about a reasonably manageable administrative structure in which things could be done.
How did Mexico City did it, Mr. Bhushan? Because, there are two examples, very polluted cities, Beijing and Mexico City. And you see, the point is not to say that things are different for Beijing and things are different for Mexico City, things are different for Delhi. The point is, things are not changing in Delhi. We might have different circumstances, but we are not changing them. Not enough has been done. I mean to say, we can't have we can have a sort of a long debate on the political will, but I don't want to have that. I really want to, because you are the people who understand the issue of what green technology is, I want to know how can Delhi improve. I mean, if Beijing can improve, if Mexico City can improve, I'm sure Delhi can improve. Sunil?
Yeah. Okay. I would say that if Delhi would have started 10 to 15 years back, we might have done equally well or even better. I agree with Mr. Bhushan there. But the sad reality is that over last 10 to 15 years, we didn't start those cleaner actions. And in those 10 to 15 years, what we have led a lot of industries, what we have done is we have led a lot of industries to mushroom in these regions. Those SMEs, MSMEs, Rohtak, Sonipat are those industrial clusters which were never known as industrial towns or districts are now hosting a lot of industries. What we have also done in last 10 to 15 years is very contrary to Beijing, where Beijing was cutting down on coal consumption in the larger region or larger area set around Beijing. We have allowed more and more coal-based power plants to come up there. As recent as this year, there is a new coal-based power plant which started operation. So we went in the other direction to where Beijing was leading to. Now, even if we would have had all these power plants, all these new industrial clusters coming in, there could have been better management of these in form of coming up with community boilers for these SMEs, where we could have better controls, designated industrial corridors which are better planned, coal-based power plants which can't be set tomorrow can have better emission control technologies installed there, and the transportation system, which sadly till now has been very privately owned or private vehicle centric. The number of buses which were required before 2010 was about 10,000 buses. We right now stands at around 6,000 buses overall with DTC under different routes, and maybe only about 70% of them operate on the roads. So what we have done is we have gone in the reverse direction to where Beijing was leading, and there cannot be any solution to air pollution unless we cut down pollution at source. What I would also like to say is, while the situation is grim, there is definitely something done about reducing air pollution levels. PNG supply to some
Okay.
industries, electrification of the transportation, BS6 shift from BS4, all those things have been done. And what they have done is the air pollution levels in Delhi, which were around 100 microgram in 2015, are
See, the
still 100
larger issue is one which people need to understand. You can't clean Delhi unless and until you clean the areas surrounding it. Air does not have a border. I think a lot of people say that, let's clear Delhi, because, Delhi is getting polluted. How will you clear Delhi if the entire area surrounding Delhi is not cooperating? So you can't do that. So in that context, let me take a quick comment from Professor Khilnani sir. Earlier, people used to think that the pollution is only impacting lungs. Now, I have read studies that it impacts insulin. It's leading to inflammation, sir. Inflammation, strokes. Older people are having problems. There was a report I read that even pregnant women are getting affected in terms of, the unborn child is also getting affected. So, in terms of toxicity, sir, can you just put it in plain perspective for our people that it's not just about lungs, it's impacting our entire health, including life expectancy?
So, thank you very much. And very rightly said, when I started working in the field of air pollution in early 90s with the Ministry of Environment, we were measuring only PM10 because it was thought that PM10 crosses the larynx and goes to the windpipe and lower down. Later on, it was realized that PM 2.5 is the one which goes to the lowest part of the lung, which is called alveolus, and it causes the damage. But actually, why our air purifiers and all are failing are that there's something called ultrafine particulate matter, which is called nanoparticles. These particles are 0.1 micron and smaller. These are the particles which actually cross the alveoli, go to the blood vessels and go to all over the body, be it brain or intestine or genital tract or breast and so on and so forth. And there are gases, carbon monoxide, nitric oxide, sulfur dioxide and ozone. They are not barred by the lung. The lung is only a conduit for them to reach the blood and goes into all the system. Now, I will, of course, the Chicago studies, we all know that average lifespan of Indian has gone down by 5.3 years and Delhi adds by 11.9 years. That is staggering, but why? What is the reason? If you talk about children, there was a study done in NAMES which I was a part. The Delhi children lung functions were much lower than the Tirupati children of primary school. And then it's not, nothing has been done. I do not quite agree with that. Nothing, consistently there has been changes. The first study which was done in NAMES, which showed that there was an increased number of emergency visits with COPD, asthma and heart attacks by 21 to 24% in response to PM10. It was done in 1998. The court, honorable court, took cognizance of that and brought CNG into the system. All the industries were driven away, but everything was brought back by diesel. I'm not talking about that. But coming to our children's growth is affected. Heart attacks are more common. Cancers are more common. Lung cancer, which is number one cancer killer is there. When I was studying, we never used to consider diagnosis of lung cancer in a non-smoker. And today, 40 to 50% of lung cancers in India are in non-smoker. This is because of the air pollution. Nothing is more proven than diesel and kerosene emission causing air pollution. And also, as rightly said, that it's not only the outdoor air pollution, the indoor air pollution is also adding to our problem. So we are in a mess.
Oh, we are in a big mess.
We are in a
Professor,
mess.
we are in a big mess. I hope there's a public outrage on this issue. The real problem is that there is no outrage on environmental issues. It becomes a whole jhola wala thing. But the fact of the matter is, it's killing people.
Please give me 20 seconds more. It's not that public is not aware. It's a responsibility of state. And then The only problem is that we are waking up only post Diwali. When the air becomes unbreathable, the healthy people are getting sore throat, tightness of the chest, breathlessness, and they start crying. You have to start working round the year, as my fellow speaker said. It takes 5 to 10 years to bring in any perceptible change, as Beijing has done. The government has to spend more money on this electrical generating plants, which have to be changed so that they produce electricity without emitting sulfur dioxide and nitric oxide, which is actually going all over.
Okay.
So a lot of things have to be done. All the buses have to be electrified, as done in Beijing. Some drastic
You see,
measures
I think
and
there is
big funding has to be done.
Professor, one thing needs to be done, and that is, how do we get people around the mass rapid transport system? How do we build a mass rapid transport system where not only poor travel in them, the middle class goes there, the upper middle class goes there, the rich people goes there. This is the reason why I'm going to look at New York. I know Delhi is not New York, but I'm going to look at New York, where rapid mass transport system has reduced public dependency on vehicles. This is significant for Delhi to learn, considering that transport is the biggest contributor to PM 2.5 emission in NCR. The Metropolitan Transportation Authority is the largest transportation network in North America, serving 13.5 million people. It includes buses, railways and subways, thanks to the extensive subway.
So
Only about, so wait a minute,
about
wait a minute, I'll come to you. Let's put these graphics, let's put out these graphics, sir. Thanks to the extensive subway, only about one out of every 4 New Yorker uses a car to commute around the city. New Yorkers rely heavily on public transportation, more than one private vehicle. This reduces air pollution and works alongside New York's congestion pricing to reduce car emissions. MTA transit riders annually avoid at least 20 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere. Now, let me straight away go to Chandrabhushan. Sir, isn't this the bigger failure? Our inability to make people use public transport, one, create walkable cities like Europe, and reduce vehicles on the road. Because what we have done is, we have put more vehicles on the road, whether it is a car, small car, big car, affordable car, Uber, Ola, the taxi revolution. All we have done is to create more cars on road, not to create system whereby people can use transport, state run or private run. Mr. Bhushan.
Absolutely. But let's look at even much more doable solution. It will take time for India to become New York on public transport, but even basics, you must understand that a large majority of Indians still depend on solid fuel for cooking, something that should not be acceptable. In fact, more women die because of indoor air pollution than ambient air quality. So even energy change for cooking and heating. Now, winter has started. A significant contribution of air pollution in entire country, especially in northern India, is because of residential heating. We do open burning of biomass, cow dung, coal to keep ourselves warm. Now, unless and until you do even these basic changes, India is an emerging economy. And therefore, energy transition in residential household is something that should be done very quickly. Public transport, absolutely. I think one of the lessons that we should learn from Beijing is how much they invested in public transport and electrification of automobile, along with restriction in number of vehicles. So Beijing did great public transport. They invested in electrification and made China the leader in electric vehicles, but they also capped the number of vehicles. We are not doing those things. So there are, listen, Kartikeya.
Mr. Bhushan, is EV revolution, sir, is EV revolution skipping us by? Hybrid?
Absolutely. It's more a slogan right now. In fact, not even 5% of four-wheeler in India is EV, new four-wheelers. We are talking more about EV than what is the reality on the ground. In fact, in China this year, close to 50% of all the new vehicles will be EV. In India, we are getting EV in three-wheelers and two-wheelers. We are not getting EV in buses or four-wheelers. That's not where EV is going. There's a lot of slogan, but the numbers are not on the road.
But do you also think that there's a lobby which is, pushing gas guzzlers? If you look at the sales of the automobile sector, people are buying SUVs. They have stopped buying sedans. So, it's like partial Americanization of the automobile consumption we are witnessing in India. Neither we have that road capacity, nor we have those technologies whereby the pollution is not so much. Mr. Bhushan.
Absolutely. I mean to say there has to be a very clear policy on transport sector. The priority has to be public and shared. Pedestrianization. We must have a walkable city. All these are common sense. They are not rocket science. We need to get these common sense on the ground. I mean to say, if you look at, and I have always said this, that revolution in automobile sector will not happen with established companies. China's EV revolution has not happened with old European or American companies. These are new companies who have come and they have broken the status quo. And these new companies like BYD and others are now selling car, which is, out competing all the traditional. I'm not seeing those kind of companies in India. Indian automobile sector is still traditional, it's still conventional, and is still fossil fuel dependent.
Absolutely. Sunil, is it also because of the fact that, we have not been able to de-addict the consumption behavior of those who drive, the diesel vehicles are still there. In Europe, the countries have created timelines. They have newer timelines. For example, Volkswagen, they are not manufacturing diesel vehicles now.
So in India, the issue, Karthikeya, has been that there has not been any policy consistency. So right now, the automobile sector doesn't even know whether they should stop manufacturing petrol-driven or diesel-driven vehicles and move completely to EVs. Because right now, while the push for EV is going on, there is another push for petrol and ethanol mixing. Why would an automobile technology invest in a particular technology when there is new technology emerging on the sides? Not just that, look at the recent Supreme Court stay on the older vehicle being banned to be refueled on the gas stations. There was a stay, it was supposed to be banned, then there was a stay. And right now, yesterday we heard that the older vehicles, which are pre-Bharat 6, will be banned from entering Delhi. So there is now again an acknowledgement that the older vehicles contribute. So why was there a stay on the ban earlier? And similarly, for the coal-based power plants, when in 2015 we came up with the notification saying that SO2 emissions and nitrogen oxide emissions have to be controlled from power plant, the industry started investing. NTPC has invested almost on 90% of their capacity. They have installed FGDs, or they are in near completion stage. More than 70% of the amount which was supposed to be spent on those installations has already been spent. And now we have done away with that requirement of emission control at power plants. So there is no policy consistency in India, and that leaves both people as well as the industry undecided on what the future will be. And that is why we are not seeing a decisive move in any one particular direction, which Mr. Bhushan mentioned, that we still have very low EV penetration in the four-wheeler sector.
Absolutely.
And the primary reason is that there is no clear policy direction in the long term.
Absolutely. Before I close this conversation, let me take a quick comment from Professor Khilnani. Sir, as Mr. Bhushan was talking about, so you have a pollution outside and then you have an internal pollution. Not everyone can afford a machine inside the house, sir. What is one supposed to do? Drink water?
No, but the thing is that first I would like to tell you that it's big illusion that if you have an air purifier in the house, you are safe.
Really?
That is totally incorrect, Just because your purifier is showing PM 2.5 or 30 or 40 or 10, it doesn't mean you are safe.
Are you saying it's a placebo?
I am a member of the WHO expert committee. WHO has dumped it as not having any impact on health. And I fought with them that our air quality is very low, but they said there's no evidence. The reason is that it doesn't stop nanoparticles, it doesn't stop carbon monoxide, it doesn't stop so many gases. And I always say that...
So what are you saying? Tomorrow the markets are going to crash, sir?
I don't care. I have to speak what I think is right. And I want to tell you a few things in the public interest, which I must since I am on this program. How you can protect yourself. First and foremost, please spend as little time as possible outside. Don't go for walks early in the morning when the smog is there. Those who are retired can go for walk when the sunshine is there, when the inversion is there and pollutants have gone up. People cover their face and nose with the cloth or a mask, simple mask. It doesn't do any damn thing. Only N95 and preferably N99 mask will help. If you want to use air purifier, your air purifier must have a filter and an HEPA adsorbent also, which absorbs the gases. You have to change the filter. The air purifier's capacity should be commensurate with the volume of the room. An air purifier must be on all the time, irrespective, not like AC that when you are using the room, you put on the AC, and the room has to be closed all the time. If it is open and closes for tea, coffee, and food, it gets totally nullified. And finally, maintenance of the air purifier is also an issue because it starts producing ozone itself. So I'm not against air purifiers. But who should use air purifier? Those who have chronic lung disease or heart disease, those who are debilitated, who are 80 plus, those who can afford to be in the room, they may get benefit. Not for people like you and me, who have to work, who have to go outside and, you just put on the air purifier and be under the illusion that you are not getting harmful effects of air.
I wish I had this conversation 2 months ago with you, sir. I would have avoided useless expenditure.
Yeah.
And now, an expert is telling me that why did I waste so much of money? But, smiles apart, but the fact of the matter is that the paralysis which we are witnessing in context of policy is really very disheartening, that knowing very well that it's killing people, we don't see an active plan. We only see press conferences. Even debate in parliament does not happen, which is the worst part. Today parliamentarians should have debated it. The house was adjourned and tomorrow is the last day. So yes, doctor. Yes.
I want to say a few things. There are short-term solutions which have been well studied and well narrated by IIT Kanpur. And those are something like cleaning the roads 4 times in a week, sprinkling water 4 times in a week, doing the construction work systematically. The 4% pollution is because of the waste burning, which can be brought to zero. These are the solutions which can bring down pollution to 50% if implemented. So this report is with the government of India since 2016. The implementation is the issue. Implementation of what we know is most important part, which can save us up to the extent of 50%.
Okay, so I've really run short of time, but thank you for joining me on my show, and I really hope the situation in Delhi improves. So this was on point 1. Now we will move to on point 2, which is about the rising anti-India situation in Dhaka and how Islamists are spreading hate against India and the sort of protest that took place in Rajshahi in Khulna. What is the India challenge, and is Bangladesh turning into an East Pakistan? After a short break.
एसोसिएट स्पॉन्सर बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा से लोन लेना एक मास्टर स्ट्रोक है.
Okay, 2026, take notes. Manifesting. More bubbles, less troubles. For my little Miss Sunshine, tickles and giggles. Also wanna be a biker chick this time. Allah, massive. And year 2026, only love for my people and myself. To manifest my best life, nature's cosmic energy. Now mine, natural diamond intention pendants.
ये बेस्ट है सर.
हमेशा वाला क्यों नहीं?
मिश्रा जी, आपके लिए फूलों की बरसात. बिरला ओपस एश्योरेंस देने के लिए.
मतलब प्रोडक्ट वारंटी.
ये एक्स्ट्रा है. 1 साल में पेंट को कुछ भी हुआ तो पेंटिंग वापस करके देंगे.
वापस करके देंगे?
वो भी फ्री. पेंटिंग में पहली बार बिरला ओपस एश्योरेंस. रजिस्टर करो birlaopus.com पर.
सामने नया सुपरमार्केट खुलने वाला है. क्या करूं कि पुराने कस्टमर भी रहें और नए भी आ जाएं?
देखो, आप दुकान के बाहर एक चाय कॉर्नर लगा सकते हो. चाय पीते पीते पुराने कस्टमर बातचीत करेंगे, उन्हें देखकर नए कस्टमर भी आएंगे और एक्स्ट्रा कमाई भी होगी। इसके अलावा आपके बिल्स देख के समझ लेते हैं कि कौन सा सामान कितना बिका है।
Irregular periods and unbearable pain. उसके लिए क्या करूं?
2 स्पून काफी है। ये प्रॉब्लम दूर करने के लिए लायन डेट सिरप। इसमें आयरन, फाइबर्स, विटामिन्स, किसी भी बीमारी से लड़ने की ताकत बहुत ज्यादा है। रोजाना 2 स्पून लायन डेट सिरप हल्के गर्म दूध में भी मिलाकर पी सकते हैं। लायन डेट सिरप रोजाना 2 स्पून।
अपनी सुपर पावर यूज करने का टाइम आ गया।
आप टेंशन मत लीजिए, IIFL फाइनेंस से झटपट गोल्ड लोन लीजिए और बिजनेस आगे बढ़ाइए।
लाइफ जब भी आगे बढ़ने का मौका दे, अपनी सुपर पावर, अपना गोल्ड यूज करिए और IIFL फाइनेंस से गोल्ड लोन लीजिए।
IIFL फाइनेंस करता है सीधी बात।
The term genocide is applicable. There is evidence of what can only be described as selective genocide. Millions have been rendered homeless. The magnitude of the refugee flow into India reflects the scale of the catastrophe. Hindus appear to have been singled out for special persecution. There is strong evidence that Hindu population has been subjected to a systematic campaign of terror. Here in Dhaka, we are mute and horrified witnesses to a reign of terror by Pakistan military. Evidence continues to mount that the military authorities have engaged in widespread killings. Reports of atrocities by the Pakistan military continue to pour in. The scale of the repression exceeds anything we have witnessed in the recent years. The army has systematically attacked student dormitories and university areas. Professors, students and intellectuals appear to have been specifically singled out. These words are not mine, viewers. These words are directly from the eyewitnesses of the genocide in East Pakistan in 1971. It is to save this very Bengali population of East Pakistan that India waged a war against West Pakistan and brought Pakistan to its knees in 14 days, leading to the birth of a sovereign Bangladesh. Today, Islamists under the interim government of Muhammad Yunus in Dhaka want to take back Bangladesh to those very days, very era which the people of Bangladesh fought and died to come out of. They are back on the streets this time, very dangerously close to Indian High Commission. On 17th, protests took place in front of Indian High Commission in Dhaka. On 18th, the protest spread to Rajashahi in front of the Indian Visa Application Center. Protests were also reported in Khulna. 2 days, 3 protests. Not random, very organized. These scenes remind of coup that was staged by the Islamists against Sheikh Hasina, leading to violent protests and widespread murders of Hindus and minorities across Bangladesh. Sheikh Hasina is now living in exile in India, and Dhaka is attempting to pressurize New Delhi to bring her back to Bangladesh. India has close historic ties with Hasina. The Islamists do not like that. Yunus doesn't like that. And a pro-Pak and anti-India narrative is being weaved ahead of elections in Bangladesh. Ambassador Veena Sikri, while speaking to us, had made a similar point earlier. Today she joins me on the show again. All signs from Bangladesh today points towards a desire to realign with Pakistan. Indian MPs too have also submitted a report stating that this is India's biggest strategic challenge since 1971. Let me introduce my guest, Ambassador Veena Sikri, former High Commissioner of India to Bangladesh, Major General Rajan Kochar, Suhas Chakma, Director Rights and Risk Analysis, and Subir Bhaumik, a noted author and senior journalist. Thank you so much. But I'll start with Ambassador Veena Sikri. Madam, is this India's biggest strategic challenge since 1971? One protest took place yesterday in Dhaka, another has taken place in Rajshahi, and another is taking place as we speak in Khulna. Madam.
Well, I tend to agree with you because of the situation created in Bangladesh today after the ouster of Sheikh Hasina was engineered by Pakistan with the support of the Jamaat-e-Islami. Of course, Pakistan was backed by external powers, no doubt about that. But Pakistan engineered this whole change, regime change operation through the Jamaat-e-Islami. This group, Pakistan Jamaat-e-Islami and Western powers, they were the losers in 1971. And now they think they've regained, and they're trying to regain what they lost in 1971. The indications are too clear because the support is entirely for the Jamaat-e-Islami. They are the powers behind the throne. Yunus has just been a puppet ruler. He's just been the front for them. The entire alignment is the Jamaat-e-Islami, who today want to have the other Islamist parties as their partners. They have rejected the BNP as a partner, even though the BNP, they formed an alliance with the BNP from 2001-2006 under Begum Khalida Zia, and BNP was looking forward that once again they will be in alliance. But the Jamaat-e-Islami has shown clearly that they want the Islamist parties to come together, and with Pakistan's help, Pakistan's attempted efforts over the last 18 months show that they want to recreate the command and control structure that they enjoyed in the then East Pakistan from the West. So the first step that Pakistan has taken over the last 18 months is to embed themselves with the Bangladesh army. You know, they have sent their officers to serve with various divisions of the Bangladesh army. So this is a clear indication that this is what they want. Then we have seen their attempt to revive more. Since 1971, Pakistan has not enjoyed as much access to Bangladesh as they are doing today. The trade restrictions have been reversed. The cargo restrictions have been reversed. The Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Taiba are all there. So obviously it is clear that with the focus on Jamaat-e-Islami winning the next elections, the effort is to bring back the pre-1971 era.
Okay. So, Mr. Bhaumik, is Bangladesh turning the clock back, turning into East Pakistan again? Sir?
No, it's not going back to East Pakistan. They are becoming a Bengali Pakistan. That's the project. That's the ISI project backed by the American deep state, and the Turkish intelligence people are very much involved in this. We have details. What they are trying to do is a -2. First, they got rid of Awami League in the sense that Awami League cannot contest the election. Now, can you imagine? Congress has lost elections in India. Does it mean Congress will be banned from contesting election? Awami League, which has been the party which led the struggle for freedom, the fight for freedom, and then 25 years, they have been in power for half the time of Bangladesh's post-independence history. Truly, the party is banned. They can't contest an election. They can't contest elections. And who is going to contest the election? Well, BNP, Jamaat, as you rightly said, the polarization is now taking place again on who will back the ethos of 71. The spirit of Mukti Juddha, as they say in Bengali, the spirit of the liberation war, which is now the BNP is trying to, claw into that space. Because at the end of the day, what is BNP without General Zia-ur-Rahman, the founder? And what is Zia without 71? His claim to fame is that he was a sector commander who fought alongside Indian armed forces in 71. So they are trying to get into that pro-liberation, pro-71 space. And the Jamaat brazenly is trying to bring back the ethos of Pakistan, or what was then East Pakistan, in a new form, which is Bengali Pakistan, and that is what they're trying to do. Now here, Mr. Yunus, what is his role? His role is, he knows for sure he wants to be president. The reason he wants to be president is he has done many wrong things, conflict of interest, a lot of scandals, financial scandals. These things, he wants to get immunity from prosecution in future, which only happens if he becomes president. So he wants to become president. And the second reason he wants to become president is he will be the supreme commander of the armed forces. So he will have the army under his control, which is very important in a place like Bangladesh, as Madam Veena Sikri will agree with me, Okay. So here, Yunus wants to be president with whose support? BNP or Awami League will never have him as president. Jamaat. Why Jamaat? Because Jamaat is seen as a party of mullahs. They need, for the Western audience, all these wishy-washy Angrez log who talk of, saving democracy across the world, the global cause. These idiots don't understand that Jamaat will front Yunus as, a Nobel laureate, liberal facade and all that stuff. So Jamaat wants Yunus as president, and Yunus wants Jamaat to back him up on ground, because he won't get support of either the two major parties. This is a very dangerous thing building up, and they need anti-Indian sentiments to thrive, to win the election, to swing the population their way, which is why you see all these things happening, attacks on, first when Hasina was ousted, attack, vandalization of the Indira Gandhi Cultural Center and all that stuff. Now you see this systematic whipping up of anti-Indian sentiment, because this is the only real capital, the political capital of these Islamists who are trying to run Bangladesh in future. This is a battle for the soul of Bangladesh, and this is existential threat for India. Because India is going to have a two-front situation, both in conventional military terms as well as in the asymmetric warfare. The threats that you have faced from Pakistan, the jihadi and all that stuff. Now you will have something like Pahalgam happening in the east, something like Pathankot happening in the east. Mark my words, this is a two-front situation for India, and we need to wake up and take very strong measures.
Okay, so my question to you is that, as Mr. Bhaumik said, that the protests are being manufactured by the fundamentalists, but is this a general sentiment on ground, anti-India sentiment, or is just being wigged by Jamaat?
If there is anti-Indian
Dada, this is a question for Mr. Chakma. Dada, this is a question for Mr. Chakma. Yeah.
No, I think across South Asia, there are some elements of anti-Indianism because India is a big country, so it plays a big brotherly role. So it is inherent in all the countries. You have to be a nationalist in Nepal or Bangladesh, anywhere else. You have to be anti-Indian. So those factors are there. But I think in this particular case, we have to remember that the interim government as well as the Pakistani forces are organizing it. So in a way it's sponsored, and what is not reported is the fact that Bangladesh has become the destination of all the jihadis in the world, and they are being brought by the Pakistanis and the interim government, and they are operating at all levels. I think if you look at the Jamaat-e-Islami and the BNP, what the BNP is doing is they are organizing big rallies, protests, etc. for their elections. But Jamaat-e-Islami is working on the ground, visiting door to door, house to house, and they are spreading anti-India sentiments. And this is being facilitated by the interim government. So it has spread, I would say, throughout the country. And what we have to bear in mind is that Bangladesh, as Subirda had mentioned, has become the destination of the, jihadis around the world. You have the Turkish who are making this, sponsoring this, making of this map with extended Bangladesh. They have been there for a long time, from July last year when the map for the first time had come out. The Pakistani intelligence is there. Of course, the Americans are there. So you could see that, I think, to come back to the original issue, on the ground, they are mobilizing to an extent which we cannot comprehend at this stage, and we still believe, without understanding ground situation, there is some hope for some kind of meeting ground which doesn't exist. And my fear is, I think very soon we are going to face serious problems in the Eastern Front with newspaper reports coming up that Paresh Barua has been brought to Dhaka. It was reported in the East Samoy and etc. So in the Eastern Front it will be completely different, and I think in the long run this situation will continue, I would say, for the next 10 years, because the elections will not be free and fair. Elections will be manufactured, and the votes at the end of the day, irrespective of who votes where, it will be announced by the Election Commission of Bangladesh, and there will not be any election commissioner who will announce some kind of results other than what is wanted by the interim government. Because in that situation, then the election commissioners will face the prosecutions. So that's the reality we have to deal with.
General Kocher, what is the military challenge here? Asim Munir, if you recall, had said that, the attack would take place from the east. So what is the military challenge here?
Karthik, see, I've heard my esteemed panelist. I'm not so pessimistic that this situation is going to last for 10 years. Before I come to the military challenge per se, please try to understand that geography, Bangladesh is engulfed by India from three sides. 90% of the land connectivity is through India. Point number one. Point number two, water and electricity are the two important aspects which India controls. You have the Goda thermal plant, which is 1496 megawatts. From Jharkhand, it is electricity is going to Bangladesh, and courtesy Adani. From Tripura, 192 megawatts, and Meghna Ghat project of the Reliance, you have 758 megawatts, and other joint ventures with NTPC are also there. Teesta Water Pact is one, Ganga River Pact is also another one. 54 downstream rivers are there from India to Bangladesh, and Bangladesh is the lower riparian state. So I'm just giving you a geography to understand that Bangladesh is incomplete without India, and for how long can Bangladesh do it? Second is the military challenge. You said the 1971 on 16th of December, we just had this 54th anniversary of this war. India attacked Bangladesh or East Pakistan from three sides, from the east and the west and the north. 4,096 kilometers is the boundary, and most of the boundary, because I've been posted on the border, I can tell you that most of the boundary or large tracts of the boundary is not fenced. And the Teen Biga corridor, actually we allowed them to trespass our area and come into India and sort of Bangladesh. So I think the challenge is that Bangladesh is now establishing terrorist camps in the Chittagal Hill tracts and all these areas, which are going to be a challenge for India. Lashkar-e-Toiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed are known to have established a base here. And Bangladesh is buying heavily equipment from China and also from Turkey. We have seen the Bayraktar drones also coming into Bangladesh. And why is Bangladesh buying? Against whom it's going to actually fight this war? It is going to be India. So I think this government is being foolish because it cannot take on the might of India. And the Indian army has already redeployed. It's already redeployed its formations on the Bangladesh border because today Bangladesh border is a threat to India, and especially of the movement of the refugees, as one of the panelists was also mentioning. So we have to be very, very careful on the border management. BSF is there, but at the same time, there is going to be influx of refugees the moment these elections are going to happen, because there's going to be a turmoil in Bangladesh. You can't leave the Awami League out and conduct the elections. It is not going to be a free and fair elections. And General Waqar-ul-Zaman, who is the chief of the army, he has his task cut out, because he has to ensure these elections have to take place in a peaceful manner. And as far as India's challenge is there, I think the India's challenge is surreal. We have to accept as of now that Bangladesh is a second front for us. The border needs to be sanitized. Already movement is taking place in that context. The threat perception is increasing. And my last point is, don't forget what Jal Munir has said. He has said that next time if there's going to be an attack from India, it's going to be from the northeast.
Okay.
So I think challenges are immense for the Indian armed forces here, but we are prepared.
Okay, Ambassador Sikri, very quickly, and before I take the next round of questions, is it correct to say we got really blindsided by Bangladesh developments? We had no idea?
No, I think we had, of course, we had very, very close linkages with Bangladesh. You would have known, I think, what happened at the end, if you're talking of July 2024, I think it was the army which did not come at the end to the rescue of Sheikh Hasina, and that's a situation which is different, and that is why she was, they let her leave the country, but they could not protect her to remain as the Prime Minister. But I think right now, what we're talking about, I think the steps to be taken, what we have to look at, first of all, we cannot accept this situation that the election will not be free, fair and inclusive. The government of India has made very strong statements, including yesterday when the Bangladesh High Commissioner was summoned and read out the Riot Act on the question of what is happening in Bangladesh, the attacks on the Indian High Commission, the anti-Indian sentiment that was being built. And again, we told him that we must ensure the elections are free, fair, inclusive, and therefore credible. Now, this question is that this has to be carried further. We have to make sure that the elections indeed are free, fair, inclusive, and credible. That has to be our effort. We have to work on it in a proper way. And I can tell you that the response from the people of Bangladesh has changed now. You know, whereas in last July, the Gen Z or whatever you may say, there was a strong anti-incumbency feeling against Sheikh Hasina and all this propaganda that everything that has gone wrong with Bangladesh is because of Sheikh Hasina and so because of India. But now there's growing support. Even the latest Pratham Alo survey of 3 days ago said that 70% of the people want Awami League to participate. It doesn't mean they will vote for.
But then there is a question. The question is, if I recall correctly, Subidar, you can correct me. You said that the Awami League is the only option. You know, if Awami League is the only option, as Madam is talking about, the sentiment is changing. I don't see the visuals. I never get the visuals, even on social media, of Awami League people out protesting in Bangladesh.
No, they have protested and they've gone to jail. I have somebody in my house, I don't want to name her. She was a famous actress. She led a protest. She was beaten up when she went to the house of Sheikh Mujib to protest against the demolition of 32 Dhanmondi. Okay, she's a top actress. I have her in my house. She had to run for dear life. You know, this is what? Yunus has turned Bangladesh into a vendetta republic. 4 lakh people are in jail. Cases, murder cases have been filed against women legislators who can't kill a fly. I can bet my head if they can kill a fly. They will call their maidservant to do it. Kamer bua, as they say in Bangladesh. So, you know, what Yunus has turned Bangladesh into some kind of a North Korea, this is a vendetta republic. Every day people are getting arrested. Every day. One of my dear sisters, she was Mohila Awami League organizing secretary in Kovila. For some small issue of car dashing against each other, she has been in jail for 3 months now. Because she's an Awami League, her bail petition will not come up. So there is a huge problem here, you see. Awami League protest and all that. Secondly, very important, you know, this is a point to be made. Who is holding this election? Yunus came to power. When he came to power, he assumed power. He took oath on Bangladesh constitution, not on Quran Sharif, okay? There is no provision for interim government in Bangladesh constitution.
Absolutely.
Secondly, this election is held along with a referendum. There is no scope for referendum in Bangladesh election. So much for the legality. These Westerners, they talk about, you know, proper election. They blame Sheikh Hasina for less than fair election. This election is a fraud. It's an illegal election. Secondly, you're talking of inclusive election by keeping out the biggest party. What kind of election is this? Now, as far as India is concerned, you know, this is a very fashionable thing to say that India, you know, India's policy put all its eggs in one basket. Man, we tried to be friendly with the BNP in 2001. Okay, Tariq Rahman got red carpet welcome in Delhi. Madam Sikri will, you know, recall. He also met Mukesh Ambani and all that. After that, what happened, do you know? 10 trucks of weapons meant for the Alpha landed in Chittagong port, the famous 10-truck arms haul.
Yeah.
And it was all meant for great Paresh Barua. Now Paresh Barua is back in Ye. Also some top Lashkar-e-Taiba people have visited. So we are looking at the second front of Islamic terror, which we have to handle. Pakistan is bad enough. Now you have a Bengali Pakistan emerging where, you know, I go with the general that conventional threat, I won't, you know, I won't give too much of that. We can handle this conventional threat. But asymmetric warfare, this is where the threat is. Tomorrow, if you have a Pahalgam type attack in a tourist spot like Darjeeling, if you have a Pathankot type terror strike in Hasimara or Bagdogra where our Rafale squadrons are lined up, and then what happens? These Pakistani jihadis come here, they enter North Bengal and they do these strikes and go back. We end up fighting with Bangladesh. The Pakistanis are gone. वो तो जनाब हमने दहशतगर्दी कर दी और हमने भाग लिया. अब बांग्लादेश और हिंदुस्तान लड़ते रहे.
Absolutely.
This is an ideal situation for
No, that's a very
somebody like
important
Modi.
point, Dada. That's a very important.
That is exactly the fear that I have, because I know how these people operate. Don't forget that the guys who hijacked IC-814 were sheltered in Bangladesh for nearly 15 days before they were infiltrated into Nepal. Who took care of them? Honda Saab, who was then the Pakistan High Commissioner in Bangladesh, along with some other ISI people, and Mohammad Mushtaqin, the owner of Kebab Ghar, who was ISI's lead agent in Bangladesh. He was one of those Urdu-speaking Muslims who were always
Dada, I'll require another 1 hour to hear these fascinating deals, but I've really run short of time. It's 8 o'clock. I really wish, I had another half an hour, but my colleague is waiting outside. So thank you all of you for joining me. But we will keep a close track on what is happening in Bangladesh, because we're not let go of the issues that have come up, because they directly impact India's national security. So this is all I have on my On Point tonight. I'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you and good night.
Okay, 2026, take notes. Manifesting. More bubbles, less troubles. For my little Miss Sunshine, tickles and giggles. Also want to be a biker chick this time.
Allah, merci beaucoup.
And year 2026, only love for my people and myself. To manifest my best life, nature's cosmic energy. Now mine, natural diamond intention pendants.
डेली मुझे कॉन्स्टिपेशन की प्रॉब्लम होती है, मैं क्या करूं? 2 स्पून काफी है। ये प्रॉब्लम दूर करने के लिए लायन डेट सिरप। इसमें आयरन, फाइबर्स, विटामिन्स, बीमारी से लड़ने की ताकत बहुत ज्यादा है। फाइबर, कॉन्स्टिपेशन से रोकथाम। रोजाना 2 स्पून लायन डेट सिरप हल्के गर्म दूध में भी मिलाकर पी सकते हैं। लायन डेट सिरप रोजाना 2 स्पून।
From boardrooms to bookshelves, from startups to storytelling, witness conversations that define tomorrow's economy. Our honorary speaker, R. Gopalakrishnan, from Hindustan Lever to Tata Sons, his journey defines corporate leadership. Eastern India's first Business and Economy Literature Fest 2025, December 20th and 21st, Taj Talkutir, Kolkata.
Presented by EIILM Kolkata. Associate sponsor, Bama Lorry, Mukhorochuk, Alliance Broadband, Priyagopal Bishoi, and ChatGPT.
Being a chef, it's my priority to deliver taste in a plate with good presentation, unique innovation. You need to explore, you need to experiment.
You observe the people, make them happy, make them feel happy, and in the end you are smiling. That's the most important thing.
लाइफ जब भी आगे बढ़ने का मौका दे तो अपनी सुपर पावर, अपना गोल्ड यूज करिए और IIFL फाइनेंस से गोल्ड लोन लीजिए।
IIFL फाइनेंस करता है सीधी बात।
Light, camera, and action. Kick back, relax, grab your favorite snack because News 9 is here with your weekend dose of entertainment. It's time to take a deeper dive into the buzzworthy happenings of the entertainment world. From celebrity gossips to exclusive conversations, from nostalgic moments to News 9's pick of the week. Don't worry, we've got you covered here. And I hope you've grabbed your popcorn by now because News 9's page 3 is here to serve you everything that we call entertainment. So do stay tuned every Saturday and Sunday, 2:30 p.m.
Red Fort explosion. Let's get you all the updates. Following the blast, there is of course a South Indian connection of Dr. Shaheen Shahid. Because this is news of national import, that search operations are underway across the entire Al Falah University campus. The blast killed 12 people. Prices, however, of Nandini ghee have been hiked. KMF has defended Nandini is the brand. I've been getting a lot of queries on my phone. What's for the people of Karnataka? Okay, you can play tennis as much as you want to, but I'm the umpire and I will say please. There is an eyeball to eyeball confrontation. Where is this going? What is the way out? The farmers, they can actually shake a nation. Both of you down because I can also shout Prashant ji.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9. English news as it should be.
You're watching In Your Interest here on News 9. I'm Krishna Kumar, and tonight we're coming to you from a city that has become a toxic gas chamber, and yet in Parliament only din prevailed over everything else. Delhi's air quality index has been hovering between 300 and 400 for the past week. That's not just a number on your screen, that's poison in people's lungs. But here's what should anger you even more. Your parliament, the temple of democracy, where your elected representatives are supposed to fight for you, has spent this entire winter session doing everything except discussing the crisis that's literally choking people to death. Let's now take you through what exactly happened today. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra moved a motion under Rule 193 demanding a discussion on air pollution. It comes in the back of a leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, standing up in the House on the 12th